up, YouTube, and welcome to Tarcoon Network, where everything is exactly what it seems. And what are we doing today? Why, the same thing we do every day. Try to make over the world one video at a time today, people. We got to have a talk. We're gonna have to have a talk because stuff is getting pretty bad. And somebody's got to talk about it, and it's me. Now, first, before we go on, I want you to understand the title of this network is Tarcoon Network. Tarcoon Network. Focus on the word coon, because coon is what you are labeled when you find something about the black community or the black culture that needs to be corrected. They call you coon, Uncle Tom, and I don't know why they call you Uncle Tom. That comes from an uneducated stance. But that's another subject. But anyway, before we get into that, if you see on these... Bro, what are you talking about, man? If you see anything on these videos you like, hit the like button, get in the comments section, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when I go live and post videos. Let's get into this. We need to talk. All right. The thing that has been going on right now with the police and, supposedly they're out hunting us, killing us, and all of that kind of stuff. We need to address that because we are now really starting to lose black people, but it's not because of the cops. It's not because of their hate for us or their disdain for the black community. It's simply out of ignorance. Every time I watch a video, it's just utter ignorance. The behavior inside the video and the feedback from the black community. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I mean, it's ludicrous. Hold on. I had to go, just realized I didn't have on my spectacles, even though there's absolutely no medicine in them and I don't need them. But anyway, just a fashion statement. Check this out. Now, the leader or the founder of BLM, and we praised BLM so much for what they were doing for black people. The leader who recently just bought 3 houses has quit. She said, "I'm done with it." Basically, I've been in it long enough to get what I need out of it, retirement money and my 3 homes. And I just moved out of my community into the community with the white people whom I fight against, so passionately. And I'm out. You guys on your own now. Aha. Who knew, right? Yeah, it's the same stuff we've been talking about for I don't know how long. Us conservatives, when I say we, I'm talking about us conservatives and people who happen to have a little bit of reasoning and sense to understand how this stuff works. But hey, if you want to keep fighting on and defunding the police and all of this, go ahead. Some of you guys just need things to fight for. And that's kind of my point. We're fighting, but what are we fighting for? We're fighting so vigorously and with such conviction, but what are we fighting for? Freedom? Freedom? I've been pretty free from police. Let me explain that to you.
Don't do crime.
They're called police for a reason. They do policing. They chase people who commit crimes. Like the bull, if you're wearing red, the bull comes after you. Why would you put on a full-fledged red outfit and expect the bull not to come charging? Yeah, right. It doesn't make sense. Just the same as committing crimes and expecting police not to show up. I'm not saying that the police have the right to kill, but sometimes in certain situations, because you don't know the rules of engagement, police have to draw their weapons and are warranted to shoot at some point. But you don't have to worry about that when you're not committing
crime.
If you're mistakenly identified, comply. 9 times out of 10, if a cop, my brother's a cop. 9 times out of 10, if a cop comes to just inquire about what it is you're doing at a certain place or with certain infractions on your vehicle, they're not looking to take you to jail. I can promise you that. They're not looking to take you to jail. Even if you have misdemeanor warrants, they're not looking to arrest you. Cops are looking for serious drug dealers, someone who can tie them back to the plug, or they're looking for murder suspects, mostly murder suspects, maybe robbery, depending on how much the money is. Something of significant value to that cop. They're not looking for bench warrants. They're not looking for small infractions like that. So even if you have marijuana in your pocket, there's no reason to run. That's not even the subject. What I want to focus more on is not being puppets, not being misled by the media, being a free thinker and understanding logic. The first thing I ask people who get into these debates with me is, who are your favorite authors? Just 3 of them. 9 times out of 10, they don't have authors. They don't read enough. I'm not going to say we don't read as black people, because I won't say that. I don't want to say that, but they don't read enough. If you understand economics, if you understand a little more politics, you can write off some of your assumption that these things are done under the guise of racism. You can write those off because you educated yourself and you know that, the reason that they can't fund this school is because of this or because of that, or, it's a little more to it than just black and white all the time. But a lot of us don't understand that because of the way the media likes to spin certain stories. The media is going to give you the story from a political perspective. Like right now, I remember there was a time when we were posted as criminals all the time. Criminals. Every time you saw us on TV. This is mid-90s, late 80s, mid-90s, on up until like 2000. Every time you saw a black person on the news, we were criminals. But now they won't even show us in a negative light. Every time a black person is seen on the news, it's the police who are the criminals. And that's a direct Democratic movement, because as long as we are the victims, the Democrats have someone to fight for, and they will keep our votes. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not talking presidential votes, because you don't select the president. I don't care how passionate you are about politics. You do not select your president. I'm sorry. And I know a lot of people who content providers are not going to agree with me, but I'm sorry. I've learned enough to know that we don't select our president. Now, we do select our mayors. We do select our governors, and everything that falls under that, down the whole ticket. But mainly, it's a political move. Now, right now, the biggest political move is how poor, disenfranchised, and abused we are as black people by the police. And that is such a crock. Oh my God. I just can't explain to you how false that is. So Angela Stanton King, she was recently on Dr. Phil, and she was talking about how Joe Biden signed an executive order protecting transvestites. You know what? Let me make sure I use the right PC word. Men in wigs. Men in wigs, or men that try to chop things off of their bodies, or all of that. Anything that's not normal. He did that because of the amount of trans people who were being murdered, which was 25. There are 25 people being killed in Chicago before the end of this video. I mean, that's probably a little far-fetched, but close to it. I would say at least 5. But if 19 people are killed by police or an attempt to arrest, then that's rights for defunding the police, and it's just crazy. Think about how many people that have been killed by cops, or how many times you've encountered the cops and nothing happened. And if you have encountered police and something did happen, I would understand from your perspective if you were afraid or you have some sort of post-traumatic experience, dealing with cops. Now, I'm not talking to you in that case, because you can't warp somebody's perspective once they've experienced something. So I understand that. But for the majority of us, we have never been under any threat by police, but we believe it because we've been told by media. You have to divide the truth, rightly divide the truth, and understand things for yourself. Do not let the media tell you what to think. Man, you know what? I've understood this. Now, the reason I say this is because I'm a person that comes from a poor neighborhood. And I've seen how cops behave. I've seen how we avoided the cops because we had both of our parents and we had a Christian upbringing. We have to raise our kids, and we have to raise them the right way. And there is a way to come from poverty. I mean, I haven't always had money, and the system didn't hold me down. I've seen the system Systemic racism does not exist. It does not exist. Now, racist people that are hired at businesses exist. And when people encounter these racist people at businesses, they call it systemic racism. No, you just ran into a person who was a racist and who put a block in your way at that particular moment. Don't blame it on the business. It has to be written in the rules and the protocol in the action of businesses in order for it to be systemic, or the protocol of politics in order for it to be systemic or systematic, whichever term you use. I have a brother, all his life, he presented himself in a very corporate way. And I remember way back, he's always had jobs, and he does not have a degree. These jobs offered him a position that you would normally offer a person with a degree, with some sort of associate's, bachelor, or master, or a doctor's degree. He has it now. In fact, he just texted me the other day and said that somebody wanted him to work under contract solely by himself, like basically getting ready to go in his own business. But that was my influence. I was hired at that job. I worked for 3 marketing firms. I've always worked and presented myself as somebody, eligible for hiring. There's no, and I've never ran into a wall or some systemic wall that said, hey, you can't do this, you can't go beyond this. It's all a matter of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, and we hate that. That term right there, a lot of black people hate that term. How do you pull yourself up by your bootstraps when the white man stop with the white man? That's the boogeyman. The systemic racism goes right along with Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and all these other things that we talk about that exist in our heads that we've never seen. No one can pinpoint where it comes from. No one can point out the executive order that won't allow us to do certain things that other races are allowed to do. I just don't understand it. I don't know why people buy into that narrative. It's destructive. But the one thing I can say is what that does is it absolves you of your responsibility or your accountability for your subpar lifestyle. That's what it does. Now, a lot of people need a crutch. A lot of people need an excuse for why they aren't where they want to be economically. And I understand that. But don't make that a serious issue, because right now we live in a world where everything is for sale. Your need is for sale. You see what I'm saying? And they're buying it. They're selling it, and they're using it for their own agenda. And we're falling right in as puppets and playing the game right with people. We can't do this. We have to be better than this. You have to back up and look at some things with some objectivity and say, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Let's try and look at this from a different perspective. Let's put the cards together and see if the math adds up. I did that. I understood. I mean, until 1 year ago. 1 year. I don't even know if it was a full year, maybe 1 year, 12 months. I was a Democrat my whole life. And I don't want to make this a Democrat, Republican conversation, but that's just one big change I've made in my life. And I look at things, I look at the statistics, I read on economics, and, I study politics as much as I can. And I realize there are no bars holding me. It's just a state of mind I had been impregnated with that victimization by media, not by my own life experiences. So just become free thinkers. I mean, that's basically what this is about, like encouraging us to become free speakers. I just wanted to have this conversation with us so we can kind of look at things with some objectivity and make some better decisions going forward, because we have another election coming up and we have other things that we need to do. We have to come together as a people and change things, and we can only do that one person at a time. So until next time, Tarcoon Network.